here.
Rose, how are you?
Hi, welcome everybody to another episode of Casting Notes from Rose and Kim. This
Hi,
is Kim
everybody.
Swanson in Los Angeles, back in Los Angeles. And Rose Rosen, I'm here in Florida. And how are you? Nice to see you.
It's great to see you too. It was a little break there because of the holiday. Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
We did. And you?
Yeah, it was quiet. It was good. I needed it. It was a good break for me. I did all my decorating for Christmas and everything.
Yeah, it's
fun.
here we are making the most of it, We get to see each other and talk a little bit about the industry.
Yep.
And so today we're talking headshots, aren't we? Jesus.
Yes, because oh my gosh, I've been doing some casting and holy cow, people, actors, you have got to start looking like your headshots.
Oh my goodness. They never cease to amaze me at how off their headshots are from reality.
And I get it. Like, I understand everyone's been quarantined, so you can't get your hair done as well. You can't, you don't have makeup artists. I get it. Your hair's growing out. Men are trying facial hair that haven't tried it before. People put on that quarantine 15. I get it. But if you don't look like your headshot, it's time for some new headshots, right?
No kidding. And to that end, I think we have a special guest that we can chat a little bit about this with.
I think so too.
Oh my goodness. It's Elizabeth Wiseman, who is quarantining in the lovely Tennessee and who professionally shoots headshots like in the Midwest, has a studio in St. Louis and is a commercial photographer. And welcome. Nice to see you.
Thank you for having me. This is a welcome break on this cold day in Tennessee.
Oh, is it cold there?
Yeah, today it is. Normally it's really mild, but today's cold.
It's cold in Florida today, so there you go. We're all one.
Right. Well, I'm not missing the cold being back out in LA. I'm a happy camper. It's like 74 today, so.
Oh yeah. Welcome to the Zoom. It's so fun. It's like everywhere. It's good things. But we were just talking, Kim and I were just talking about headshots and how talent has to be closer looking to the headshot than to what they'd like the headshot to look like. What are your thoughts? What do you do?
Yeah, I'm really glad to hear you say that. And I feel like I'm going to play it on a big screen on repeat in my studio. No, I think it's one of the hardest things about being a headshot photographer for actors. I mean, I think there's a lot of types of headshot photographers and you can get a good headshot from a lot of people, but I specialize specifically in actors. And so we have these people that'll come in and they'll say, hey, I want to show you a picture of me from when I went to a wedding, how beautiful I was at that day. Or I want to show you a picture of me 10 years ago or my old headshots from before I had children or whatever. And I really want to match those because they felt really attractive in those. And there's nothing wrong with when you go to get your picture done to want to feel beautiful and want to feel attractive, but people don't realize how different they are going to end up looking if they go for something that they found on Pinterest or if they found from a special event or something like that. So we really struggle with that. We really struggle to get people to see who they really are, who they're going to be seen as when they walk into the casting room, and also what their best light is within that box.
Great. And I do think that one of the biggest problems is actors think that they need headshots that make them look prettier and younger. And you don't. Oops, my dog's been crazy. You need headshots that make you look like you do the minute you walk through the door. That when you walk through my door, I know that who I asked to come in and who came through the door are the same person. And so often people are worried about looking younger, and we don't need another younger looking person. We need someone in their 40s or their 50s who look like they're in their 40s or 50s. Or we need someone who's a character type who is heavier set, or who is balding with facial hair. So we need that too, but we want you to be the good, clean version of that.
Right.
Not try to be something you're not, but be a good version of you. So tell me, so what kinds of things do you face with that?
So the way so I have to think of, in order to communicate that with people, because you have to say like, no, we want you old, people get offended, right? But but one of the things that we talk about is replicability as well, as we say like, hey, if we do that to your makeup, you're not going to be able to replicate that. And it doesn't look like you, or, if we style your hair pulled way off your face in a way that you don't wear it, you're going to walk in and they're not going to recognize you. And I think one of the ways that I try to communicate it to actors is the monetization of your headshot. And you think, this isn't about your ego today. This is about you getting work and about you being a professional and these being your marketing materials. So we need to like leave the ego at the door and think about what really is going to get you the job. And I think that resonates better with people than when I talk to them about character types and things like that, because sometimes people are not ready for that conversation. But when we go into it with like, hey, this is just a part of the job. You are gonna, if you are the teacher, we need you to look like the teacher. And I think that helps sort of soften the blow of, you bring in your headshot from 10 years ago, it's not going to be what's right anymore. What's right is who you are now, and knowing that, and people need a little moment of self-reflection too sometimes in order to like get there. But if we can have that conversation ahead of time about marketability and monetization, then a lot of times it's easier.
I love that talking about the monetization, because that's really what it is.
The job.
It's a job. It's how you're going to make money. Yeah.
Yeah. My favorite headshot story goes back a few years when I worked with Tim Burton on Edward Scissorhands, and we were looking for these neighbors, and he wanted a real specific look, and he came into that casting, and we'd look at 5 people across the boardroom table, and I'd set their 5 headshots up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so they'd be right across from their headshot. Literally all day long, he would sit there and look at the headshot and say, is this you? Is this you? He couldn't, it just wouldn't compute in his brain. And they were sitting right in front of him, and he couldn't pick them out from their headshots. Now, to me, that's just nonsensical.
Right.
Because we're hiring what you look like in that chair, not what you look like on the page. So it's imperative for us as casting directors to have an actual representation of what the talent looked like today.
Yeah. And I would say that, from the perspective, so you guys are in the casting chair, and I'm working more closely with the agencies, right? So because I don't often, you might see somebody once or twice a year, the agency is constantly, giving them feedback about their castability. And so with the agents, I have to sort of talk to them about character type, and where it is that they need to find some diversity in their looks as well, but also sort of stay within what their agent wants for them as well. And so we have to really go into, if your agent wants you to be a mom type, but you're not ready for that, you need to have that conversation with your agent too. And you need to make sure that when you are doing something that is outside your comfort zone, that you are doing it. I'm trying to think of the exact way in which agents are trying to get people to be flexible with their look types and marketable with their look types, but also still within the wheelhouse of who they are as a person, essentially. And so I think that that's really going to come down to a lot of communication, and eventually it does come down to experience too. So if they're in with their agents, and their agents saying, hey, I need you to be mom, I need you to be teacher, I need you to be doctor, and the person says, no, I want to be Kim Kardashian, then we have a lot of work to do as a team, to make sure that when that person does sit down at that table, that they're giving off the right vibes to the casting director. Tim Burton, I know, is going to have this really creative idea about who is going to be in that chair. And you might have somebody who can play the girl next door, but can also really do that creative thing. And they have to understand that the headshot has to be that, it has to look like them, but they also have to show up to the audition with all of that together. That whole message has to become a whole circle at some point. And as a headshot photographer, I kind of need to be in on that conversation. Who are you? How do you wear your hair? How do you do your makeup every day? But also, who does your agent see you as, and where is the work? So all of those elements are coming into this pot that we're kind of stirring and trying to make this headshot that's really going to give them the work that they need. Because one headshot is not necessarily going to give somebody all of the work, so we do try to sort of say all of those things.
And that's an interesting topic in itself, because I got to tell you, one of my pet peeves are when actors have like 30, 40 different headshots on their sites, right? And they all look the same. They're just wearing different clothes, right? So they have the same expression, the same tilt, but they've got on, a police officer uniform. Then they have the same expression, the same head tilt, and they've got on a doctor's jacket. And the same, like, that drives me absolutely insane.
That's true.
First, I always tell people you really need 2 headshots. You need one that's theatrical, where you're not big grin smile, and you need one commercial with your teeth showing.
Right.
Anything beyond that is a plus, but it needs to be, viably different from what you already have. It can't just be can't be a costume change. A costume change doesn't make a casting director believe you can do it. Right?
Yeah. You'd be surprised how many
like, our headshots here, or are they the 3/4 that was in vogue for a while? Let's tell people what we're thinking now.
Yeah. So 10 years ago was when we did the 3/4, and I tell you what, that was a mess. I hated that.
Right? It's horrible, but people still hang on to that a little bit. And and at that time, people were still hanging on to black and white. So it's always like whatever was 2 seasons ago, we're still hanging on to. So our best headshots are real, like not aspirational. And they're cleaned up best versions of yourself, right? And you need 2. You need one smiley commercial and one, I'm not going to say you need to grimace in your theatrical.
Something going on behind the eyes. We need to see there's something going on behind there.
I hate when they take the theatrical to the negative. It's like there's
or my all-time favorite is this one.
Oh my God. I know, it's so funny. I mean, so here it is. And what I'm hearing is Elizabeth is amazing. Just let's put that
out. Without a doubt. Hands down, she's amazing. Yes.
If you can't get to see Elizabeth, you need to have a headshot photographer that uses this kind of thing, that will be in a team with your agent and your manager, if you have one. And that you're all working in concert, because this obviously makes a lot of sense. And honestly, I've never heard a headshot photographer get that involved with their clients' situation. So I applaud you on that.
Well, and let's be clear, for any actor out there watching this episode, there is a big difference between a professional photographer like Elizabeth, who specializes in headshots, and a portrait photographer. Not the same thing. First of all. Completely different products. They both have their place in society, but they're completely different products, right? And by the same token, now that everyone has these things, right? Everybody suddenly thinks they're a photographer. Right. And I'll just have my friends take pictures. And that's all well and good. If you have absolutely no money, I would rather you do this with some friends, take 50 pictures and pick a good one and have something recent up. But if you have a little bit of money, it's just like any other career. You're going to have to invest in your career.
Yes.
An accountant wouldn't show up without a calculator. A doctor's not going to show up without their stethoscope. Everybody has tools of their trade, right? My dad was a bricklayer. He always had his trowel and his mortar mixer and things. Like, there are certain things you have to invest in. And as an actor, that investment is your headshot. Very, very first thing.
Absolutely is your headshot.
Would it be useful for me to give you the quick 10-second tips on if you
Please. Very useful
from your friends? So we are in quarantine. So these are the kinds of things. Oh, I'm getting a package. Did you guys see? So if for some reason you have to use your friend or your phone or take a selfie, the replicability, I'm going to hit that again, because that's so important. Don't do your hair and makeup in a way that you can't repeat it for your auditions, and you should show up looking like yourself. You want to go from here to here, all the way to the top of your head from a realistic angle. You want to make sure not all your headshots are from the exact same angle, because we all know that's your good side. And it's the quickest way for somebody to think that you're either too diva or you're not professional. It's like this weird, subconscious thing that we all see and we go, I don't like that. So that's a really quick one. The commercial one, we want to make it just a little bit brighter if you can. Like the background should be a tiny bit brighter if possible, just to differentiate between the theatrical. It's not that big of a deal to have one or the other that's not that way, but that's something that can also help us give those tone differences when someone's in casting with commercial and theatrical. And then the theatrical one, look carefully into the camera. Like that's that connection, that's that little something behind the eyes. Like when I have a child that truly I can't communicate that idea of something behind the eyes, the thing that I tell them to do is look through the camera and try to see me. And so that's something that helps them kind of lean in and give a little extra. And so that's my tip for theatrical, is just to make sure. Oh, and I have a fun one for a great natural smile too. I have people say hi at the camera, and you would be surprised. I mean, you don't want an open mouth in your commercial headshot, that's yuck. But if I just get people who are cheesing to go, hi, there's something about your natural instinct when you're greeting someone that helps your whole face light up. And with those commercial headshots, that brightness, that fullness of the face is really the thing that we want to see in a commercial headshot. And so that hi has been my trick for the last couple of years. I think I got tired of telling jokes or something. So I have people go, hi.
I love that. And you actually have an online class, right, Elizabeth? Or models, but I think it really pertains to actors as well. Can you talk about that for a moment? Tell us what that is.
And at some point, I plan to follow up the one I currently have with one specifically about acting headshots. It tends to be towards photographers, but I've heard talent getting a lot out of these as well. But right now I have one available that's for model testing. And so it's intended to be photographer to photographer. But again, the conversation is broad, it's team oriented. So it couldn't hurt for someone who's a talent to be watching this kind of thing as well. But it's about 3 hours of content. It's a single download on proedu.com about model testing. And I teach basically start to finish how to work with professional models, how to get industry standard images for professional working models. And then also from the photographer side, how to build a fashion portfolio while working with the best of the best in the industry. So it's a really fun thing that I worked on for a long time and that I was really proud of when it came out. And so right now they have a lot of specials going on if anybody's.
Which is great, because what a great Christmas gift to give someone who wants to be a photographer or an actor or a model. Like that's a wonderful Christmas gift. When you give someone the gift of knowledge and an experience, that's something that they will always have and always utilize in some way.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll drop the link in our description here, and so you'll send that to me. And thank you so much. Happy holidays to both of you. What a great show this was. I'm sure everybody got a lot of info out of it, and thanks for joining us. Stay well.
Great tips. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Those are such good, solid, practical, tangible tips, and that's exactly what our viewers need. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Sure.